Um, so I guess what I normally start with is if you want to tell me just your name, the branch you were in, and where you served during the war.
All right. Name's Russell N. Collins. I was born and raised in Camden. Uh, Went to high school there, Woodrow Wilson High School. Then I quit there and went to vocational school, took up welding, and welded, I guess, probably a year in New York shipyard. And then before my 18th birthday, why, I went over to 13th and Mark in Philadelphia and signed up for the Navy, 17, which means I had my own choice to go. If I was 18, I was draft paid and I didn't want the Army. So my father, he signed, and went back over that night. Why we went and had it notarized, and next day I went over and took it. And that afternoon, I guess there was probably 8 or 10 of us from Philadelphia just got on a train, and we wound up in Great Lakes. Yeah, and started boot camp there. That was in May. Yeah, my birthday is May the 24th, which this year I'll be 90. And I was in boot camp, I guess. Well, the ship was christened on May the 23rd, 1943. It was christened Philadelphia Navy Yard. I am not a plank owner, being that I wasn't there for the christening. I was in boot camp. But after 2 months in the boot camp, we boarded a train. We had to leave, then we come home and then went back again. And we got on a train, and it took us 3 days to go from Illinois, from Chicago to Norfolk. Excuse me. Because it was like a troop train, but the cargo train had supply train, had what would you say, priority, because they had shells and jeeps and everything else on there. And so we wound up at Norfolk, went to bed that night. Next day I went up. I was on KP duty. Finished the chow, came out, looked at the bulletin board, and it says, Russell N. Collins, USS New Jersey. Wow, good, because she didn't have a full crew yet. She went, I understand, when she left the Philadelphia Navy Yard, she went down to Annapolis, and she took I guess, a couple classes of middies out on a cruise for, I don't know, 2 weeks, something like that, 3 weeks, yeah. And then she came back into Norfolk, and then that's when I picked it up. And then from there we had what they call shakedown. We went down to Trinidad, and you were down there for a month. And you never knew when, because the Captain F. Holden was our captain, and he did one heck of a job. He was a good man. Everybody liked him. You just about went to bed, and then general quarters at night. General quarters, yep. So you got up, you ran, you got in your battle station. Everybody got in the battle stations, and every battle station had a JV phone, and everybody had to call in. Full crew, yeah. So he knew that everybody knew their way in the dark and everything else. And he drilled us and drilled us. And every day you had a plane that on a sleeve. You know what a sleeve is. And one day it would be all 5-inch on port side. Next day it'd be all starboard 5 inch. The next day it'd be 20s on the port side, and then vice versa on the starboard. And then each group had their own couple days firing its sleeves, towed by planes. Yeah, and of course we had a lot of filled up.
Go ahead. No, so I guess we'll take a step back before we start talking about the New Jersey. You said you enlisted. When did you enlist? What year?
43.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you? Why the Navy?
I always did like the war. I always had a boat. Yeah, yeah, and I just didn't probably do a lot of walking, because the Army does walk. Yeah, yep, and sometimes they don't get fed for 2 days, maybe, or 3 days. Yeah, and the Navy, you get 3 meals a day. Yep, and it's a good life. Yep, it's 2 different lives. 2 different lives. These guys here are fighting almost hand to hand with the enemy. Yeah. We fight the enemy by just shooting a shell at them. We don't even come in contact with them. Yeah, but if your ship gets sunk, why, you're shark bait. Yeah, yeah, you're shark bait, as we all know from the Indianapolis. Yeah, it should have never been, but it happens. Yeah, yeah.
When so in 1943, the war was really starting to kind of kick up there.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. And like I say, we were on the we can we like I said, we had a lot of shipyard workers on it when you have shakedowns, because they're checking mostly all your engine bearings and all when you're running high speed, to see if they're not overheating and they'll wipe out or something, you know. And yeah, the yard's with you all the time, more or less. And then we came back to Philadelphia, and we had a check over all the engines and fire rooms and all. Yeah, make sure everything was working good and all that. And then we went up to what they call a cold water run. So we went up to Portland, Maine, Casco Bay, and every day up there, same thing. You go out, cold, and you're still shooting at sleeves for planes are towing, and you're still shooting a 16-inch at I guess some island up there. Yeah, and it was rugged. It was cold. Yeah, we're spending a month up there. That was around. I guess that was in December, and then we pulled into Boston Navy Yard for a checkup, and then they said anybody that lives within the East Coast for Christmas could go home. So I'm right in Camden, yeah. So me and I think seven or eight other guys, yeah, lived in Philadelphia. You know, we came home and for a couple of days, and we went back, and then from there we went down to Norfolk, and we spent New Year's in Norfolk, us and the Iowa, and we both left together the next day. We got down to the mouth of the canal, and right away they took the Iowa through during the night, and we stayed on the Atlantic side. Next morning, why, I was lucky. I had the 4 to 8 watch. So I come up out of the engine room, got in chow line, had my chow, and then I was on top side almost through the whole canal, and it was an experience. Yeah, we had 8 inches of clearance on each side. Yeah, and yeah, when you go in there and you're talking up and you're looking up at these Marines walking, and after a while, then you're talking to them like this here, and then the next time you're 20 foot above them. Then yeah, it's quite an operation, and Of course, you have your own river pilot that takes over the ship, not the captain. River, yeah. And there's on the mountain, there's a huge plaque donating to the men that built the canal. And over the fan tail, you have your name, USS New Jersey. Well, you throw a canvas over it because, you know, who's up in the mountains with glasses and saying, you know, two big battleships just went through Iowa and the New Jersey. Yeah, well, they'll hear from us later. But, yeah, it was quite an experience. And then we got over to Balboa, and everybody was refueling and everything. And next day or 2 days later, we left the Balboa, and that was it. We our first one was one of the islands we went in, and we didn't anchor. We just went in there, and I think we were just idle, and a couple PT boats pulled up alongside of our starboard side, and our supply officer, I guess, was giving them bread, rolls, like that, whatever they wanted. We give them that, maybe ice cream they had. We had you give them that, yeah, and we weren't that far off from the island. You could see the fires and all, and you could hear the shooting and all, and there was an LCM that pulled up on a fantail, and we understand that some of these guys went over the fantail, down the ladder. They went over for souvenirs. And they're still fighting over there. And we understand, we saw the LST pull away, or the LCM pull away. As soon as it pulled away, general quarters, bong, 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 bong. We got underway right away. Of course, we weren't anchored. We were just sitting there idle. And to this day, I don't know where those guys went. I know they couldn't catch up with us, and I don't know what happened to them. I don't know. To this day, I don't know. And I asked different guys at the reunion. They don't know either. So it's been a mystery for quite a few years. Yeah, what happened to them? But that was it. We pulled out of there, and then we teamed up with I don't know where the Iowa was there. She might have been guarding us. She might have been outside, yeah. 5 mile, 10 mile out, protecting us, because we went in more or less like a supply ship to give these guys whatever they could use. And then from that on, why, it was always us in the Iowa, yeah. And well, we were the fastest battleships. The Iowa class was the fastest battleships. Massachusetts and the older ones, they could get maybe 22, 23 knots maybe. Yeah, we could go 32 knots. Yeah, and we're both 60,000 tons. Yeah, we got a lot of water, and we were always in what they call a fast task force. We always had. We made attacks on different Caroline Islands and all the islands out there. We made attacks with these carriers, and until we took over Marshall Islands and all that, we would pull in to what they call Ulithi. It was I guess in the Gilbert Islands, yeah, because there's a bunch of islands out there, and that was like the fleet reserve, fleet headquarters. After each battle, so everybody would go back to this harbor, and R&R, and the R&R was a island and was called Mogmog. It was a piece of coral few trees on it, a Quonset hut, we understand, with some beer on it, and a couple of Marine guards guarding it. A flagpole, a what you could call it, baseball diamond, I guess, whatever. And then they had I don't know where they got the shuffleboard, but each man that came off of our ship got, I think, 3 cans of beer. And when you got over to Mogmog, why, some guys didn't drink beer, they didn't like it, so they would sell it. So, I don't know, probably 50 cents a can. Yeah. And, I mean, what are you going to do with the money? There's no place to spend it anyhow, so you just, yeah. And then you couldn't go swimming. You did the first time with your bare feet, and it would just, the coral would cut your feet. Oh, it was awful. It was awful. But 4 o'clock, 1600, everybody would go back to the corral. It was corral where you went in, and then when this LCM would come in and drop the front, and then everybody go load on it, and then they would take you back to your ship. And every time you went there was a fight. Because somebody would drink maybe 5 or 6 cans of beer, and they thought they were king. Every time. After a while, it just, you going to Mock? No, I'm not going to Mock. It's not worth it. No. Every time there was, SPs over there, and they hated, everybody hated Mock. But it was a place where you could, and believe it or not, after you got off a ship and you got on land, and you took a couple steps, you started to weave. Yeah, you weren't sure yourself. And first time I thought, what the hell's wrong with me? And yeah, I mean, you're on the ship so long, and I mean, the ship, especially yours, it's not like a destroyer. Destroyers are fast, it's quick, but ours is like a roll. And sometimes you're rolling up the ship, and you're walking this way. Next time, when you're walking this way, and it does affect you. Yeah, when you're on the ship for, we'll say, we've been out, I guess over a month and a half, maybe 2 months we've been out. Yeah, and it's a big difference. But that was our recreation, Mog, and I don't know how many ships went there, or if they went to another island. To me, it looked like a volcano. It was different islands around, and there was only, I understand, one way in and out. And you would go in here, and we would anchor, and we anchored a lot right next to, well, I'm not saying, maybe half a mile or so from the hospital ship Hope. And we would anchor there, and at night, weather permitting and all, we would have movies on the fantail. They would turn number 3 turret around, and then they would show it against the turret. Well, they would set up chairs and all here for the officers, the captain, the officers, and then after a while you would see the captain come down with I guess a lieutenant, nurse, or whatever. They would go over in a whaleboat, pick up some nurses and bring them back, and then treat them to movies on the ship, and then probably afterwards up in the wardroom and, a few belts or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we'd all be back there sitting down, and when the orderly come by, naturally, tension, so everybody stand up. So he come around, he sat down, and we all sat down and start the movie, yeah. And sometimes we would have a band. We had a 22-piece band on the ship. Good, they were good. And that was their rate, musician. But we would have Eddie, I don't know if you ever heard of Eddie Peabody or not. He's a great banjo player. Yeah. Well, he brought his troupe over, and they would play on top of number 3 turret. Yeah. Set up mics and all. Yeah. It was good. Yeah. And sometimes if we pulled in the Pearl once, and we had a hula dances would come on, on the fantail and entertainment. Yeah, that was our entertainment, and of course we didn't have Liberty there, and it was they try they try to keep you happy, but they always saying, a bitching ship is a happy ship. Yeah, that's the old saying. A bitching ship is a happy ship. Yeah, but yeah, I think everybody had an experience. Yep, but like I say, things didn't seem to happen until us and the Iowa got out there. After a while, the Wisconsin came out. Because us and the Wisconsin was built in Philadelphia Navy Yard. The Iowa and Missouri was built in Brooklyn Navy Yard. And I understand when we were being built, when they were building the fantail, putting that on there, the plate was too long or so, and they were going to cut, and they said, no, the hell with it, let's make Jersey the longest. So we understand we're the longest, yeah. But things didn't seem to happen until, like I say, we got out there, and then we started hitting islands, and we started having we had fast cruisers, destroyers, yeah. And I take my hat off to a destroyer, to a can man. You're right. Those guys went through hell, those guys. And every morning, the planes would take off. You have to go flank speed, so you're going 32 knots into the wind, and we might have 5 carriers with us until they all took off, and some of them would be so loaded, especially the TBFs and the torpedoes. When a plane goes off a carrier, they go off to the side, so they don't. So if they get down, the carrier don't run over them, so they go off to the side, and you see them. Every morning we stand there, and you can hear them gunning up, and then they would take off. As soon as they take off, they would dip down, then they would go up again, dip down again until they've got their speed up and going. Some of them would go up once here, come down here like that, go up the second time, try to come down, right in the drink. Right in the drink. Boom. Enough power to get up, yeah. And of course, when that happens, there's a destroyer right behind the can or the carrier, and they go around and pick him up right away. Yeah, but the plane is done. Yep. And everybody's flying or going flank speed until all the planes are in the air, and you'll see them all make a big formation, and off they go. And then everybody cuts back to about 10 knots, I guess. Yeah. And then you just sit and you cruise around, and you don't even see a seagull. Some days and some days that ocean, it's like a lake, calm. One day it's blue, the next day it's green, the algae. Yeah, sun out. Yeah, it's hot. Not a breath of air, not a breath. Nope. Water, like I say, it's just like a lake. It's flat, and it's hot. It's hot when there's no air going, and you're only going 10 knots. And poor guys in the fire room and engine rooms, yeah, they're sweating because you're full dress. Yep, you have to have your dungarees tied or buttoned. Yep, you have to have a hat. Yep, you have to be full uniform down there, and you're walking at maybe 130 degrees. Yeah, of course we have blowers, but they're just taking hot air from the main deck and blowing it down to us in the engine rooms. Yeah, it's hot. And then at night, after the raids, the guys come back. Excuse me, and they always come down around port side, and they fly around us, and then they go back into the carriers. And some of these guys, I don't know how they ever got back. Half their tails were shot off from, I guess, ack fire. They have holes in the fuselage like that, and these guys would go by us, and we'd wave to them, and they'd wave to us, and they'd fly around our fantail, and we'd see them land. And I guess maybe 4 or 5 hours later, you would see half a dozen guys pushing this plane right off the fantail, the carriers. They stripped it because they don't have the material to rebuild it. So they would just take everything off what they could and use, and then just push it over, and Davy Jones there would go. Yep. And I'm thinking all the time, that's one plane less guarding my butt. And there wasn't too many that did, but they would ditch them. But then we would stay out maybe another week or 2 weeks, and then we go back into the harbor, and then you would see them transporting planes on a float, take them to another carrier, which another carrier said, we need 5 planes. All right, then they would take them over and take them up in a crane, and then have their full crew again. Yeah, but it was quite an operation. Thank God somebody knew what they were doing out there. But it was it was an experience. Yep. And then other days, it would be windy and rough, and there would be, I'll say, 3 to 4 foot waves. And if the excuse me, if you were going to make a turn to port or starboard, they would come over the loudspeaker and tell you, going to make a turn to port. Well, if you're on port side, watch it, because you're going to get water on the main deck. And I've seen guys, especially in other engine rooms, they play. You ever hear of AC/DC? Yeah. Well, he was sitting up against the bulkhead on the main deck. Shoes off, brand new shoes off here and on, and sitting there, and they're playing dice AC/DC. And I'm walking down port side, and the ship is turning to port, and we're taking water on. And right where we were, right where the whaleboat is on port and starboard, there's a deck on 01, and they had 5 20 millimeter machine guns. They had 5 of them up there on each side. Well, we were walking down there, and the water came over the side, and you just reach up and you grab a hold of the overhead and you lift your feet up, and then you had 2 foot of water that come around that whole deck and just washed everything out. And this guy, I thought he was going over, but he held on to the lifeline. We had 3 lines on: lifeline, middle line, foot line. Yeah, and he held on, but shoes came, everything over the side, and then you go along and you kick off they're flying fish. They're about that big, and you can see them flying through the waves. Yeah, well, the waves come on and bring them on the ship, but the guys just go along and kick them over the side. Yeah, but they warned the guys if it was a rough sea, they would tell you what to turn and what to look for. Yeah. And then Halsey, I think, we had 5 admirals on. And Halsey, I think we had him on, I don't know how many months with us. Sometimes he came down, he ate with us, the crew. I got pictures of him here, yeah. And he'd walk around, he and his, I guess, top advisor, would go up on O1 outside of the captain's cabin. And it was a pretty good sized deck there where you could walk. And we used to walk up there and stand there and watch him, and he would be talking to us, his aide there. And I mean, walking fast. They were walking fast to the end and turn around and walk back again. While they're talking, but they're exercising too. Walk and walk, 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 back and forth, talk, yeah. And I guess talking how the battle went or what they're going to do or not, but he did a lot of walking, yeah. And one time we're standing in a canteen line and on the second deck. It was a canteen, and we sold cigarettes, razors, candy, stuff like that there. And there was two men ahead of me. We're standing in line, and the orderly came through, and he said, "Attention!" So we all stood up, and Halsey comes through, and he said, "At ease." So we had to stay. Halsey comes around, and he stands right in the back of me. Right in the back of me. Now, Halsey could go in front of the line anytime, you know. He's the top boy. But nope. We have to later on that a sailor saved him one time or something, and he always had respect for the lower man. But that proved it right there. He came around and he stood right in the back of me. And we're standing there, and the orderly, he's standing over in the side there, you know, looking at us, and we're going, and he's going. So we're standing there, and after a while, here comes a young ensign through the hatchway, and he's going to start his own line. And Halsey stepped out, and he says, "Sir, the end of the line starts here." And this guy says, "Yes, sir." And he just looked like a thermometer. You could see him get red. Yeah, and we looked at the orderly, and he's going, you know, everybody wants to laugh, but you can't, you know, and he come around, he stood right in the back of Halsey. But, yep, that's how close I came to Halsey, yeah. Yeah, he was some guy, yeah.
What's that like, having the admiral stand behind you, and a little nerve-wracking?
Yeah, I mean, he's the top dog at Pacific, second in command. I mean, King, I think, was it King? One of them, yeah. But he was like second command, yeah. Yeah, the whole fleet stand right in the back of me, yeah. Yep, Admiral Halsey. Well, then we started out, and we were going to go up to what they called Formosa. That was a big island, and we had a big task force with us. And we got up there, and we were going to, we're right off the end of Luzon, the Philippines, Luzon. And that's when we hit the not the hurricane. What am I thinking of?
Typhoon?
Yeah, the typhoon. That's when we hit the typhoon. We were in there 3 days. We couldn't get in or out, and the enemy, they couldn't get in or out either, because everybody was just there, and we lost 3 tin cans. 3 cans went under. The planes, they were all moored on the top. All of them broke mooring lines and just slid right off the main deck, right on into the drink. Yep, everything. Yeah. And like I say, we were in there 3 days. We couldn't get in or out. And we finally broke out, and the rest of us went back. We went back to Mogmog, and a tin can stayed behind. I understand went against orders and stayed behind when the sea went down to try to pick up survivors. And I understand they picked up 275 survivors, I understand. They picked up. And the man that was on the ship same time I was, he was a signalman, John Horan. He, every time the captain went in a whaleboat somewhere, there would be a signalman to go with him. And John was this time went with him, and they went. I guess they went over to this tin can to find out what did you do, who did you pick up. And John went on the deck with the captain, and he was talking to some men, and they said, we saw a lot of guys there, and he said we had boat hooks, and we picked them up, and he says from the waist down they were going sharks, just ate them. Yeah, they had the life jackets on, but it was just from here up floating. And he said they just cut them loose, let them go. Yeah, but they did save, I think, 270 some. I think they picked up alive yet. Yeah. That was I read that book. It's Halsey's Typhoon. Yeah, good book. Yep. And told you all about what happened there. Yeah, it was. Those guys went through hell. Three days, 3 nights of water. Yeah. They're the heroes. So, yeah, and then we came back. It was Christmas time. We're standing in line to go to have dinner, Christmas dinner. I think that was 45. And we saw a tugboat on the starboard. Our chow line's always on the starboard side. Engineering all starboard, main deck and all. Gunners, they eat on port side. And we saw this tugboat go by, and these guys are running around putting life jackets on, and we're seeing splashes of water. And as a task force comes into the anchorage, they're supposed to fire. There's a plane that fires a sleeve, and they're supposed to have target practice before they come into the harbor. They weren't far enough out, and all these shells, these 5-inch shells that they're shooting at this sleeve, is falling into the harbor. And one of them went through our aft deck. There was a cook back there, got ready for mess, and the guy down below, third deck, he's shaving. The shell went through, took half his, the little baker's calf, took the calf off. Went down and had a guy here, and he cut himself when he was shaving, and went down the inner bottoms, 5-inch shell. And and Halsey was on then. Yeah. And matter of fact, King was on. His float plane was tied on the fantail. Admiral King from Pearl Harbor. And I thought, because I saw this kid a couple years later at a reunion, and he's from Virginia. And I said, did they ever? I said, you're the guy who took the calf on. He said, yeah. And I said, did they put you in King's plane? He said, no. He said, they put me in another seaplane and flew me to another place, and they flew me to a hospital. Yeah. But yeah, I did meet this kid. Yep. And well, it's been years ago now. But things that they don't. It was a big foul up, and a lot of things they don't print because of stupidity. You say you shouldn't have ever done that. Well, we thought we were far enough out or whatever. But accidents happen. Yep. And we were just lucky it didn't explode. And the young ensign, he went down the inner bottoms and brought it back up, and he put it right in front of a catapult, and he took a picture of it. Then guy picked it up and threw it overboard, and of course everybody ran back. I don't know why we ran back. If it didn't explode going through its steel, it ain't going to explode going through water. But that's the reaction of it, yeah. But yeah, it's different things that happen, but we never had anybody killed on the ship during the World War II, which is, I think, a good record. And we were in a lot of battles. Yep, especially the one, the Mariana Turkey shoot. They sent 400 planes in on us. Yep, that was up around Formosa. Yeah, and we got 5 of them that day. And I was a number 2 turret powder room. Of course, you're not going to shoot 16-inch planes, so they secured us. All 3 turrets secured, so we went topside, and we're standing there watching. There must have been 24 dogfights. You didn't know who was who, and everybody is firing, us, the carriers, tin cans. And finally it came back in middle of the battle. It's come over a loudspeaker, ceasefire, ceasefire. And we all look at each other and said, what's wrong with him? We're in a battle. Well, we're shooting at our own planes going, chasing another Jap. And we're firing at him. And 90% of the time we're hitting him or something. So everybody, all ships stopped firing. And then we were on starboard side, midship. And here comes a Zero in. And he's about maybe 15, 20 foot off of the water. And right on top of him is a Corsair. And he's right on top. And I don't know why his prop doesn't cut his canopy. That's how close he is. And I think the Jap thought he had more space under him. And he just back got after midship, then he's going aft, and all of a sudden, I guess the Jap looked up and he saw him right here, and so he pushed his stick down and he went right in the drink. Boom. And of course the air went up and they went around our fantail. It was that. Everybody clapped. Then right after that, I think it was the Enterprise off our fantail here. She took a kamikaze. Yeah, she took a hit. Yep. And fire. Yeah, that was 2 things I didn't want to be on: a sub and a carrier. Nope. Because one time we were anchored at Pearl Harbor, right next to Ford's Field it was, and right across from us was the submarine port, and we were sitting there watching movies, and then the sub was coming up, and man, this whole deck of railing, we were just ripped up from depth charges. Yeah, and they pull into port, and I guess maybe about a half an hour later, here comes a bus up, and everybody come up out of that submarine with their sea bag and went right on the bus. Then they go to the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, R&R, which they should have. Yeah, and I guess they would be there. I guess till the next duty. Yeah, next cam was or sub was fixed up or go. Yeah, but no, we never saw any subs or I imagine we had them with us. I'm sure we did. Yeah, I mean we went with a big task force or so. I'm sure we had subs even for down planes. Our seaplane picked up 2 carriers. Yeah, 2 pilots. Our seaplane. And yeah, we were also sea rescue. Yeah, we brought them back. Yeah. Well, you take them back to close enough from the land where a can come in, and then pick them up and then go. Yeah, but they probably hung on a pontoon until they got out of range of a gun on a base. Yeah, yeah. But this one time, us in the Iowa, we hit this island, and we laid off, and we bombarded, both of us, all morning, 16-inch shells. 16-inch shells. Boom, 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 boom. Go up and you make a turn, come back again, and I guess we made 3 turns, and we're firing. Nothing. Came over. After lunch, we're closing in for a 5-inch practice run, 5-inch turrets. Because we've been laying off just firing 16-inch, which they couldn't shoot. They couldn't hit us. We're too far out. All right. And I'm on at that time I was on a 20-millimeter machine gun second loader, which you take it out of the ammunition, give it to the first loader, which he puts on the 20-millimeter machine gun. And that's what I was, second loader, go to the first loader. And we closed in, and we're in between 2 5-inch mounds. When these 5-inch rapid fire, they just undress you from the concussion. Everybody, you have cotton head on with a face out, cotton gloves all the way up here, and a helmet on and button here, and you're like a rag doll. And even the 20s, we couldn't fire if we had to because the deck was like water. Everybody was just in between these 2 5-inch turrets. Yeah, you couldn't fire if you had to. Well, anyhow, we closed in and we're firing, and we look at each other and we're saying, boy, we're hitting something. Look at the fires over there. Fire, you see fire. And then all of a sudden you see splashes of water coming to you. And you're thinking, that's return fire. They can't be there. We destroyed them with 16-inch guns. Nope. And one landed, I'll say from here to the garage, we saw that. Then they said 20 and 40 millimeter machine gunners retreat to starboard side. So we want to run through the stack, and we sat down. Soon as we sat down, all you could hear was zzz, shell. I don't know if it went between the stacks or it had to go over top of the ship, but it was a shell. And that's all you heard. Zzz. And there it went over so far many yards out and hit and exploded. We pulled out of line. The Iowa came up to where we were, and she was going to turn, and she took a shell in the fuel tank. Port side, yeah, took a shell, hit. Yeah, they hit her. And then from there, we just went back to Ulithi, and they welded it up. Everything else, yeah, got it fixed. But to this day, I don't know how that island survived, because our planes was going over and spot checking, telling you, a little more to the left or right or whatever. And of course, they had years in there, and they must have had, I don't know, 10 foot of concrete on top of them, and we just couldn't. Our 16s just couldn't penetrate them. I don't know why, but yeah, That's the only time I guess maybe Iowa got hit. She was out of commission for a while. One of her struts from the shaft dropped 3 inches. And we understand Halsey called up down to New Holland, somewhere down there. There was a big dry dock, floating dry dock. And I understand that they had 2 cans in there in dry dock, repairing them. And the message was that Halsey called the captain of it and the dry dock, and he said, "I'm sending the Iowa down. I want it done right away." And the message came back, "Sorry, can't. We have 2 destroyers in there." And we heard he says, "I said I'm sending the Iowa down. I want the Iowa done." Yes, sir. They took the Iowa down, and we understand, it's in the book. Before you go in, they sink the dry dock, you know. Then the captain of the dry dock takes the ship in. He knows where. We understand the captain says, "Nobody takes my ship in." He took the ship in. Went in so far and put it in reverse. When he did, he knocked a couple of the blocks out. Stopped. Divers went down, tried to rearrange the blocks and all. They said, "All right, that's it." Pumped the dry dock out so we could raise up the ship. They pumped it out. 1 block was out of place. Punched a hole right in the hull. Yeah. And of course there's extra work done. Yeah. But yeah, they understand the shaft dropped 3 inches. Now we don't know if it was an outer bearing, because a lot of times they make this wood. It's for bearings, and that's how it gets lubricated. Water, yeah. But maybe if it dries out or something like, I don't know what happened, but it must have rotted out, or one of them must have got stuck in what they call wipe the bearing out. Yeah, and she was out of commission for a little bit down there. Yeah, which is a big job. You got to take that. But yeah. So the Iowa doesn't have too good of a record. Yeah, and then we had the explosion in the turret. It's a shame. Yep. Well, I don't think we'll ever find that out. But if that's all we had, why, that was good. But yeah, we had quite an operation. Yep, World War II, greatest generation. Why? Because everybody was young. Everybody was young. Yep, it was a young generation. And to this day, when you go for any medical thing, did you smoke? Back in the 40s, everybody smoked. Everybody smoked in the 40s. Yeah, yep. Yeah, that was quite the thing. Yeah, smoking. Yeah. And we used to buy the carton of cigarettes, 50 cents a carton. Yep. And if you were going to go into Pearl Harbor, and I think 12 miles out, they would announce over the loudspeaker, "Go in and get your cigarettes now. If wait any longer, you're going to have to pay stateside, because you're in stateside territory." Yeah, and everybody run down to the canteen, and the cigarettes, you would open up and take a cigarette, and you would roll it like that, and it was so dry that the back would just fall right out. It was, but we lived. We lived. Bunch of good men. Yep. Matter of fact, I still used to. Dan, it was on my watch. He was a Mennonite from Pennsylvania, Paul Mattern. His father and mother had a big, huge farm up near Niagara Falls somewhere. Yeah. Matter of fact, my wife and I stopped there on our honeymoon and spent one night with Paul and his family. And he was on the generators, watch 2. And when we got to Tokyo, why, he had enough points to get out. And he went to Temple and became a dentist. And he opened up as a dentist up here in North Philly. And we communicated him a couple times. Yeah, my wife and I and my son, we went over visiting him and all. And then and he moved out, and then I lost track of him. But then a couple of years later, we met again on the ship at the reunion, and talked to him. And but he had to give up dentistry because arthritis, I think, set in his hands. Yeah, he couldn't. But I think he wound up with a state job, like inspector or something. And nice guy. But the last time I saw him, he was in a wheelchair. So then he moved from Westchester. I think he went out to Lancaster somewhere, and I haven't. That's when I lost him. But that's the only guy that I ever stayed with, more or less. Knew, yeah. But another guy from Flatbush, Brooklyn, Flatbush. Another guy from New York, yeah. Another guy from Wisconsin. A couple guys from Chicago. From all over, yep. Yeah, you meet a lot of guys from the area. And even on the Jersey, we had, there's pictures of them here that, I think there was 5 from my neighborhood, yeah. Pensauken here, and yeah. So I don't know if they tried to get men from the New Jersey to serve on it, and like I say, we have a whole group of us that's from South Jersey, and that was it. Yeah, we had a good time. It was an experience.
The New Jersey, I mean, it was part of pretty much every major naval battle once it arrived in the Pacific to the end of the war.
We had 5 admirals one time on us, not at once. Yeah, Sinpad and Spruance and Halsey was the longest. Yeah. But we had 5 admirals. Yeah.
What are some of the more memorable things you saw while you were on board?
Yeah. Saw Halsey come over in a bosun's chair from a tin can. Yeah. That's something to see, because then he has about maybe 15 guys on his staff, and everybody has to come over in a bosun's chair. Yeah. And that's when the can, come up, and yeah. And that's when you needed the men. That's when you needed the 5-inch and the 4-inch and the 40s and the 5s to run these tow lines. There would be maybe 30 guys on this line. And then when the ships go apart, they run like devil to give the ship more rope to get out. And then when the ships come together, they run the other way to take the slack out so you don't go in the water. And it's quite an operation. Yep. One time we brought 3 Japs in. They handcuffed them to the bosun's chair. Because if they got in the middle, I mean, they would just jump overboard and commit suicide. But we brought 3 of them on, and I have pictures of them here. And Marines took them to the fantail, and they made them strip. The barber went in and took all their hair off, and then they hit them with a fire hose, and then scrub brush and soap. They soaped down and all that, and then they hit them with a fire hose, and then towels. They dried off, and then we threw them sets of whites, and that's the last we saw them. Of course, they went down to the brig, and I guess just they were probably pilots. Yeah, and you know, where you from, how many planes you got, what's this, yeah. And these kamikazes, you know, I don't even, I think they teach them how to take off but not land, because you're not supposed to come back. You're not supposed to come back. And yeah, well, it's like the admiral said that when they hit Pearl Harbor, he says, I think we disturbed a monster. Yep. And he did. He did.
So on board the ship, you ran during combat. You were on the 20 millimeter.
Yeah, I started off as a filling the 20 millimeter machine gun casings. They held 100, and every third one you put a red one in, which is a tracer, because it gives the fella where he's shooting. And then I went out as a second loader on the 20s. I guess I don't know, maybe a year or so out there on that. Yeah. Then I went to number 2 turret powder room there for a while, and then I went back into the engine room. And yeah, that was my general quarters stations. Yeah.
And when you weren't at general quarters, what'd you do? What were you doing?
Well, yeah, like I say, you were cleaning 2 days a week, and then after that, why, you were on your own. Yeah. Write letters if you want, or whatever you wanted to do. Yeah. Yep. Most of the time, the guys, you know, especially the black gang, they would get up and try to get sunlight, or you know, and get fresh air or whatever.
What was some of the, I guess, the worst times you saw? What was some of the worst combat?
Well, one night we were down at New Holland, lower end of the Philippines. We're down there with a task force, and it's the first time we ever got lit by a flare. You could hear the plane coming, and he dropped a flare, and you could read a newspaper. If we had a shotgun or a 22, we could have killed the guy right here. That's how close he was. And I don't know why he didn't look. It looked like he's flying, and he's looking over this way here. If he'd have just looked here, he'd have died, because we were right here. It looked like he was even with us on second deck. Yeah. And come over the loudspeakers, hold fire, hold fire, hold fire. All right. And I guess 20 minutes later, the whole horizon lit up. He hit the other task force, he hit the other task force. So there must have been 2 big task force of us down there. And I guess they opened up on him, and he's gone. So I mean, that's probably the only reason why the whole task force, or a couple ships, yeah, but the whole horizon lit up. Yeah, they probably got him. Yeah, but no. And then one night we were sitting in Ulysses, and we always called him Charlie the Lamplighter. He was a Jap, and I don't know why, but he never shot him down, but he would fly over our harbor, fly over the harbor, make a circle, and go on out and go back. probably reconnaissance. I don't know. A new carrier came in. Ranger. It was a new carrier just came in, and anchored quite a ways from us. And we're sitting there waiting for the captain to come for movies. So everybody's sitting there, and here comes Charlie the lamplighter. They saw him, yeah. Flew right over the top of the carrier and dropped a bomb. Boom! General quarters. You never saw anybody run so fast. Yeah, everybody. Yep. Well, he dropped the carrier, dropped the bomb, and they just turned around. Nobody was at quarters. Nobody shot at him or anything. So he just got a lucky one. Yep. But he made so many false trips that they figured, he's only looking. Well, brand new carrier just came in. So it was weather permitting, yeah. Even underway, they would show movies down in the mess hall. But hot. Oh, Jesus. It wasn't worth the movies. You're just sitting there in a puddle of water. Yeah. No air. Awful. Awful. But the only original thing on back in there is what we call guidons. Yep, that's still there. You used to get the ice cream and sodas all right there, guidons. Yeah, we'd open up a couple hours in the afternoon. That was it. Yeah. Yep, and that's still there today. The guidon stand.
So
yeah.
where on the ship were you? Like during general quarters, where is your position? Can you still kind of go back to where you were?
No, because they did away with all their 20s and 40s and stuff like that. Yeah. Now when they did away with all them men, even when you refueled, you still had guys in there to keep these big lines, rubber lines like that, up out of the water. Now you don't have the men, so now they had to put a big crane on the starboard side, back from midshift, yeah, and they would have a couple lines of hose, and then a run down to a winch, and then they would set so many lines out, and then if they would keep it out of water, they'd start to get the winch, and it would raise it up and down. So they had to put that in there because they did away with, God, it was maybe 800 men. Yeah, took the 40s and 20s out. So they had to have some way to keep the lines out of the water when they fuel, because you have to refuel. And you're out for a while, and you and a carrier would go back to a safe area, and then the fleet tanker would come out, and then he would refuel both of us at once. He'd be the carrier go on one side, and we'd go on the other side of the carrier, or the tanker, big tanker, and then we would take fuel on. Yeah. One time we're out there, and somebody, I guess one of our planes, something didn't identify himself coming in or something, and general quarters, bong, bong, bong. And understand, our chief bosun mate, he'd always stand up there with an axe. And as soon as something like that happened, yeah, he hit that line, and that line, they didn't shut it off right away, and that line whipped around. There was fuel oil all over, yeah. Of course, a plane couldn't come over and get 3 ships at once with a bomb, so you had to break it, yeah. And yeah, that happened there. But that's the only time it. And then a lot of times, your bigger ships, if you're out for quite a while, you got to refuel your tin cans. Yeah. So we refuel. We refuel the. Remember the Sullivan? Sullivan, yeah. We refueled the Sullivan, and yeah. And we would sit on the fantail, we'd holler over to them and talk to them, yeah. Different guys on the cans, yep. And the can can only come back so far because our screw took in so much water that it would suck the ship right in under, yeah. And it's big because when we came back in 45 to sea out of Birmingham, yeah, we come in for an overhaul and they put us in dry dock, and all the firemen in third class went down and you wire brushed your screw. And just by luck, we only have 4 blades. The inner blades, the inner screws are 5 blades. But we wire brushed that baby. It's all brass, and we wire brushed that, yep. So I know what that is, and I walked under that ship. I know what that is. Yeah. Yep. That's big when you get underneath and look up. Huge. Yeah. Yeah, it's an experience.
When you went in, you were only 17 when you entered the Navy.
Yeah.
So, what was your concept of war? What did you think was going on in the Pacific at the time?
Like I say, I don't think things started to happen until the fast battleships got out there. We never get much news. No, we had the only time the captain, if he would come on the PA system the night before we made an invasion or was going to bombard an island or something, and he would come in and say, give us the lowdown. We know that there's so-and-so here on the northern part of the island and all this, and we're going to try to go to the south end and all that, and we don't expect too much trouble. But when they come in and say, we don't know too much about this island and it's new to us, so be prepared. Yeah, well, now well, if you don't know, how do you expect me to know? Yeah, but he would try to, I guess, well, at that time, what would you say, we were well groomed in, yeah. Anybody was scared, well, no, because, no. At that time, the Iowa class battleships was a hornet's nest. We had guns all over. If you came in on the port side or starboard side, you never made it. If you came in from the bow or the stern, you might have had a chance, but other than that, you're done, yeah. And now, the new ones now with these, we got 4 Gatling guns on our ship. They did away with this one, and they throw out, I think, 3,500 rounds in about 15 seconds. Yeah, it's just, it's for the missiles. They just throw a sheet of steel up them and it would run into the, today it would take us about 420s to knock a plane out. Now today they just use one of these new ones and you got it. Yeah, modern. But we did the best we could, what we had. I think the boys did a pretty good job.
Do you remember your first time in combat? What it was like? What were your thoughts?
No, I can't remember what when we went into when we were attacked by planes. We always got something out of Truck Island. It was us in the Iowa. And nice day, ocean was flat. We got there and there was a ship trying to make it into the inlet, into the harbor, and our 5-inch just turned around and just demolished it, blew it out of water. And at that time, somebody reported a fish or torpedo went between us and the Iowa. So there must have been a two-man sub or something right at the mouth of the inlet. And this calculation was a little further by, he could have knocked our screw or our rudder off, and now we're dead in the water. Yeah, we're dead in the water. And right then, why? Another thing, there was a plane coming over right over top of us in the Iowa. We never had lookouts. We had lookouts, but they're looking at the horizon. Nobody's looking up. So from that time on, we had guys, lookouts that had glasses that would lay on the deck. And to this day, that plane, it looked like it was just on a hanger sitting there. And everybody, us in the Iowa, we're firing at it, and nope, there it goes. Nobody hit it. I don't know what happened, or everybody was out of joy, or I don't know. But he didn't drop a bomb or anything on us. I guess maybe reconnaissance or whatever it was, but there he is. But no, I mean, other than that big, the big battle, yeah. That's when they sent the 400 planes. That's when we saw a lot of planes coming in around us. No, yeah, yep. Other than that, it could have been just a couple planes coming in, and we got I don't know how we got it, but it was in I think early morning. They're 2-engine bombers called a Betty. Yeah. The guy on the 20 on the starboard side reported Betty on the port starboard side coming in, permission to shoot. And somebody said, yeah. He shot it and knocked it. Got it. 2-engine Betty. Yeah. 20-millimeter machine gun. Yep. Next day, the captain raised him up to the next rate, gunner's mate. Yeah. Well, then everybody was trigger happy. Then, you know, it's, yeah, want to get the next rate, shoot a plane. You got, yeah. Yeah, but the kid got the next rate up. Yeah. Never forget that. But, oh, we had a couple accidents. What ship was it? It ran right into us. Can't think of it now. But, you know, your task force is here, but then you got cans like a clock. And understand each hour they drop back. And this one here, he came across our bow. And we don't know, he came up under our port anchor. The captain's on the bridge, and he came up and under our anchor, cutting across our bow. I guess he was maybe going for 1 o'clock position. I don't know, but killed the captain on the bridge, knocked another guy, a couple other people down, destroyed I think the whale boat and a couple others. Yeah, it was. And to this day, they still hold a reunion on our ship. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't our fault. Yeah, it's their fault. But Yeah, they still hold the reunion. Yep. So it was, yeah, no bad feelings. Nope. But I don't know why there isn't more accidents out there at night. I mean, all these ships and you know, so many minutes or so, you change course. Of course, that's foul up the subs. Yep. And the whole fleet turns. The whole fleet turns, I guess, at once, and so many degrees, and it's just yeah. When you got so many ships in a task force, that's something. Yep. And boy, I mean, you go out on the deck at nighttime. Boy, you can't see your hand in front of you, right? And somebody 20 mile, well, you can only see like 12-mile horizon. Smoked a cigarette, you could pick it up right away. Light, yeah, but it's just 50 ships or something like that, boy, you went out and you wouldn't know they were there. It's remarkable, and all done by radar. Well, that's why we got the fleet in San Bernardino Straits. The old Japs coming through there, and the old battleships were in T formation, and they just had them on the scope, and they just opened fire on them. They were the heroes. They got the ships down there. They got the ships.
The word hero is used a lot when describing veterans and people who served in the military. What's your definition of a hero?
Well, if he was on a ship and he sunk another ship, or if he saved another guy, if they went overboard, and even if he threw him a life ring or something like that, he's, yeah.
Did you ever
He did something out of the ordinary.
Did you ever see
Yep.
anybody who acted heroically or who you consider a hero?
No, because, like I say, we got two different wars, Navy and Army. Army, there's a lot of heroes, yeah. If somebody got shot, they lifted him up, they dragged him to the first aid kit or first aid station, saved him. Yeah, that's a hero. Yeah. But the Navy, it's I don't know what you would. Yeah, if your ship was sunk and you drug somebody and brought him on a life raft or something like that and stayed with him, or yeah. Anybody does something out of the ordinary, yep. And like I say, Tibbets. Well, yeah, I mean, you had a lot of great Army generals too. Yep. We're going to attack there and all. Well, MacArthur, yeah. Look at what he did. It's either today, or I mean, it's got to happen today, or it's not going to happen. Made that invasion. Stormy weather and all. Guys didn't care if they shot the rifle or not. I'm sick. It's too bad. We're going in. And these poor suckers that was on these LSTs, they gone in. They couldn't get in close enough. They dropped the ramps. The guys go off, and they got 100-pound of thing and a rifle, and they're in 8 foot of water. Blow. Down. They can't even get up. Can't even get up. And the guys that the guys that did, you go off, you see it on TV here. Guys are just, the Germans are right there in machine guns, and they're just sweeping, and these guys are getting shot in the leg, head. How many floating in water? All these guys, they had these tanks that had canvas around them, and they were supposed to be watertight. Waves come and fill them up, and didn't even fire a shot. Didn't even fire a shot. Nope. Never heroes. And even Colonel, can't think of it now. He was a what do you call him? Small guy, Colonel, not Colonel Bancroft. But this guy was a colonel, and he went up these walls, yeah. And Colonel Crawley, yeah, Colonel Crawley, yeah. These a lot of the functions that we are here. Colonel Bancroft too. Got a lot to do with it, with the South Jersey vets and all, yeah. And yeah, he was what would you call him? I can't think of the name now. Not troopers now. But it was a whole band of them he had, and they would fire these lines up on these walls, anchors, and crawl up on them and all. Yeah, scale the walls. Protective Rangers? No, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, he had a whole division of them, yep. And to see him, he's like 4'10", yeah, yep. Heck of a guy, yep.
When you're on board the New Jersey, because you gave tours and
No, I don't give tours. No, I work in a tool room. Yeah. I'm not a docent.
Okay.
I couldn't be a docent.
Why not?
I spent too much time at one point, and I would hold the whole line up. Yeah, and they said, "What's the matter?" Well, it's Collins up there, and explain again. So, yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that you saw the public at one point or another when you were on board. Do you, when people say thank you for being a veteran, how do you respond to that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yep, thank you. Well, the last two birthdays I spoke at when we had the thing on the forecastle. Yeah, I give a little speech. Yeah, because I'm the only guy that served on it so far. We had other men that's been in Vietnam, yeah. We've had two guys on there in Vietnam. And the one guy, they take care of the 5-inch, they shoot the 5-inch gun. Yeah. They shoot one of the number one, 5-inch turret on the port side. We always shoot one barrel off. Yeah, it's about maybe 2 pounds of powder, yeah. And even on sleepovers, we have a lot of sleepovers. And they sell tickets, and then they draw a ticket. Now, the one with the ticket, then he gets to hold the trigger, and he gets to squeeze it, and whoa, yeah, fire the gun, yeah. And, yeah. So a couple of times I come down and say, hey, Russ, what, want to fire the gun? Yeah, sure, I'll fire it. All right. So go up on 01 there and put the things on and hold it. Because, I mean, what I hear now and what I did hear, years ago, I mean, but yeah, they shoot that, and then we shoot the salute gun, 40 millimeter salute gun. Yeah, that's pretty loud for its size. Yeah, yep. And like 4th of July, New Year's, and all that, we fire we fire port and starboard salute guns, and we only fire them 1 5-inch, and that's always on port side, always towards Philly. Yeah. One time there was a ship out there. It's, a lot of them try to go up the Schuylkill, and they have to wait their turn to go up to the refinery. So they park along the river next to us, midstream, like, yeah. And we fired a 5-inch over there. And the guy comes on the loudspeaker and says, "For Christ's sake, we give up. Don't fire." Yeah. And, yeah, everybody was laughing. Yeah. But it's funny. New Year's and old boy, you can, we shoot the 5-inch and you can hear the echo. It keeps bouncing from that big building across from us. That, yeah, it hits there and like comes back again and over. Yeah, but yeah, they shoot it all the time, 5-inch. But we have a lot of sleepovers. Yeah, and that's what's more or less keeping us afloat. Yeah. Now the Olympia is going to try and start it and have sleepovers, but they're limited too there. We can I think hold up to maybe 350. Yeah, we have a lot of space where we could put them, but it's not that, it's feeding them. Yeah, we got to hold them at a thing where we can feed them. But it's good, yeah. A lot of people enjoy it, yeah. And I think it's $55 a head. And they can buy souvenirs and dog tags, and that seems to be number one hit, the dog tags with their name. But some of these kids, I don't know. We find mostly flashlights, and once in a while, if it's a good thing, we found 2 cameras now. Well, cameras are good, and we put them in lost and found. The people can call back, and do we have? Yeah, we have it. All right, we'll ship it to you. Yeah, and but brand new back sacks. Kids walk off without them. I don't know. Where's the mother or father? Where's your new backpack I just bought you? I don't know. I lost it. Well, because we have guys come in Monday morning, and that's a regular job. Well, they come in to work anyhow, but they go down and they root through everything, make sure everything, no fires or anything or something like that. Yeah, they come in there and they go through the whole thing, and they clean up. Yeah, we have a whole crew that does that. But everybody, that's the number one loss, flashlights. And some of these kids get up and go to the bathroom at night, and on their way back, they forget where they are. Yeah, you make 2 turns and you're done. You're lost. Yeah, it's dark. Yeah, it's dark. It's a big ship. Yeah.
How long did it take you to learn the ship back in during the war?
Well, as soon as I come out of the mess hall at Norfolk, I looked up there and I saw Russell Collins, USS New Jersey. I thought, oh boy, Charlie Miller. I grew up with a kid, Charlie Miller. Lived in next street over. I was, oh, Charlie's there. Huh? I was on that ship 2 weeks before I found him. And it was just by accident. A row of lockers here. He come this way and I came face to face. Charlie, Russ, how you doing? Yeah. The best part is, he says, where are you working? I says, number 1 engine room. He says, I am too. But he's an electrician. He's on the distribution boards on the port side. Well, we don't go over there. Yeah, we don't, because that's none of our business. Yeah, distribution boards.
What was your responsibility?
Right now, I was what they call a messenger. Yeah. You go around, you take bearing readings once an hour. You have a chart, you go around, then you call the shift alley, get the shift alley bearings. Yeah. And everything is marked down there. Every bearing on the ship and is marked every hour. And then after that, then you go over and sit down, you have JV phones. Well, now you're connected either to the bridge or to all the rest of the engine rooms. Yeah. And you catch the devil when you come into port, because the bridge up there, he signals, and he'll and there's a clipboard here, and every time that bell rings, you gotta look at the clock. What time here? What bell was it? Bell, and how many? You got to keep track. Every bell that comes down that engine room is recorded. Boom, bang, bang. You got to write it. You got to look at the time, clap here, what it is. Yep. 2 RPM, 3 RPM. Yep. Everything is recorded. Bang. You got to write it down. Because you got the phones. Yeah. But no, the rates were frozen for, I guess, over a year on the ship. I put in for a third class machinist mate, and it was closed. Yeah, nobody made rates or anything. Nope. Then after the war, everybody left in Tokyo. I was the oldest man on the ship while in the engine room, and I made third class. So I brought the ship home from Tokyo back in '46, back to Long Beach Island, or Long Beach, California. Yeah, I was I was in charge of, during the war. Each watch 1, watch 2, watch 3, you had a chief in each watch. We had a lot of chiefs. Well, after the war, we only had, I think, 2 chiefs to take care of 4 engine rooms. So they'd come around maybe once an hour, Russ, how's it? But everything's going good. Everything's going this. Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah. Third class machinist mate, run the $1 million engine room. Yep. But we made it home. Yep. I left it in, I think, March, somewhere around the end of March. Long Beach Island, went to Lido Beach, New York. That's where I got discharged. Give me the money and took a bus home. Yep. Took a bus home to Camden, yeah. And I got my ruptured duck. Remember the ruptured duck? Yeah. You got the ruptured duck up there, yeah. Yep. Yeah, but from California to Long Beach, Lido Beach, New York. I think it's out the end of Long Island, I think it is. Yeah. That's where I got discharged.
When you left the New Jersey in California, for sailors, you spent 3 years on this ship. What?
Yep.
You're walking away from it. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I'll never see you again in my life. Yep. I'll never see you again in my life. And I thank it for bringing me safe through the whole war. Me and the rest of the men, yep. We made it safe. Had a few fights, but that's to be expected and all, yeah. And I thought, I'll never see you again in my life, yep. And then when I came home, and for years and years, I didn't belong to the association. And then a fellow around the street here, he was a quartermaster in the Korea War. And he says, I met him, he said, Russ, why don't you join? I said, oh, I don't know. He said, yeah, join. So I said, well, yeah. So I joined, got my card, and I could cost me $20 a year, yeah, dues, yeah. And then when they said this could come to Jersey, I thought, well, hey, good. And then when I found out I came to Camden, I said, oh boy, that's good. That's good. Yep. So I was down. I went down and signed up. Yeah, as a volunteer. Yep. And yeah, I was glad I came here. I'm glad. Yeah. Yep. But Bayonne, I think North Jersey, they would still like to have it because of being New York and Intrepid and all that up there. Yeah, it would be a big, but it's salt water. Salt water. Yep. That's the only thing why we got it, fresh water. And being built here too. Yeah. I'll admit that we're in a wrong spot here. We should be at the end of Campbell's Field. That's where we should be. You know what found us up there? The tram. Remember the tram that was supposed to be put there? The poles are still over in Philly. And I guess maybe a block off of the beach down here, why they've spent a year down there putting the foundation in. They had the big casings down there, and they, I guess, poured concrete in for the foundation for the other end of the tram. But I don't think you'll ever see it. No. And a lot of people, they said, you ever been on Jersey? No, where is it? It's behind that big lump of dirt down there. Yeah, the Tweeter Center. Yeah. Everybody said, oh, yeah. Huh, never been on it. Well, and I think Channel 10 now is starting to loosen up, I think, because it used to come all the way down to the aquarium and stop. All they have to do is another degree, and here we are. Now I see most when they open up, there's the Olympian and right across, we are, yeah, Jersey, yeah. And both of them is going to be hot spots for the Pope, because I mean every motel in 25-mile radius is going to be rented when he comes here. And then next year we have the Democrat Party. That's going to be another biggie. So Philly's going to be well represented here. Well represented. It's good. It's going to bring a lot of money in. A lot of money. So that's good.
I have just a couple more questions, quick questions. Do you remember the first time you saw the New Jersey back in 43? Have you ever seen a ship that big?
Well, yeah, because I worked in the shipyard. Yeah, I knew what ships were, but when I got off of that bus with my sea bag and I stood there and looked up at this thing, it's huge. It is huge. Yep. And you get a feeling. I can't describe it. Even when you're when you're at quarters, like when we came into the first time we come into Golden Gate Bridge. I had a 4 to 8 watch. I come up and we were quite a ways out yet, but the sun was just starting to come up. And boy, you can see these two big tiers, Golden Gate Bridge, and the sun behind it. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I don't know. Guess when you get older, you appreciate it. But you when you come into port there and you're at quarters, there's something that goes through you. You can't explain it. I guess it's pride. Yep, pride. And then you get the same feel when you pull out, when you leave the place. Yeah. I guess you feel that you're one of the most important men on the ship, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. You can't. But it's must be pride or glory or something.
How special is it to be able to walk on it now?
Yeah, good. Yeah, sometimes well, when I used to go on, I used to be the first guy on the ship, because I used to go in and make 3 pots of coffee for the volunteers. Yeah, I'd go in there and make that. Yeah, in the morning I'd go in there and stand there and look at it and bring back memories. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's big. It's a good ship. Will always be a good ship. Yep. And would I do it again? Yep. I think 99% of your veterans would say, yeah, I'll do it again. They all have pride. Yep. Yep, we had 2 different wars. The Army was fight the enemy hand in hand, but we'd fight our enemy with a bullet. Yep. Yep, everybody deserves a salute. Yep, they were all good. All good. And those poor guys over there today, we shouldn't even be there. These guys walk along, stepped on a lame man, blow their leg off. It's a shame. Yep. It's a shame. So, I donate what I can to these organizations. Wounded veterans, yep. Children's Hospital and all, yep. You help out where you can. So, it's the end of my story.
That was a very, very good story.
Yep.
I enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah, it's good. I guess you have a lot of literature that I have.
Yeah. I mean,